Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Thursday morning's Public Policy Talks. We're getting ready to have a conversation. Got a lot to throw at y'all this morning, y'all. A lot of links are going to be put in the chat. We're going to have a good conversation. Just had the vice president in Atlanta. We're going to talk about it. Our vice president, Kamala Harris, attended that event, had a great time. Come on in, y'all. We're going to have this good conversation this morning. My name is Markee Tate, president of Advancing Black Businesses, chair of the board of the Atlanta Black Chambers. I see Crystal Spellman, board member of the ABC out here. All right. Take off my glasses. Who else is in the room? Paula Watts, Dwayne Johnson of the Georgia Coalition of Black Chambers. Hey, Dwayne, can you talk? Can you say something about your chamber? I really appreciate you supporting this public policy talks. Can you come off mute? Sorry to call you out, Dwayne. Tell them what you do.
Hey, not a problem. Hey, good to see you, and pleasure to be here always, man. I always love the knowledge that you all are sharing. So it's a pleasure to drop in. My name is Dwayne Johnson. As you said, I'm the president and CEO for the Southern Georgia Black Chambers, and first president for the Georgia Coalition of Black Chambers. So in Southern Georgia, spearheaded out of Lowndes County, which is seated by Valdosta, Georgia. We covered 19 counties, and basically just doing the good work, just like everyone else, but based on the blueprint from the Georgia Coalition of Black Chambers, you all that have already laid down the groundwork in the ABC, we really appreciate what you're doing and just basically giving us something to follow here in South Georgia. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dwayne. Really appreciate you coming on at a moment's notice there. We definitely want to support your chamber down in the Valdosta area. Thanks a lot for your support of Public Policy Talks, y'all. We have Black Chamber presidents in the room tonight. I know I'm about to get started. So what time is it? Y'all got to lift up my glasses. It is 8:32. Want to jump right in. As I stated, everyone, the vice president was here in the city of Atlanta. This was her 12th visit to the city of Atlanta. It was a great event for those who were there. I see a few people in the audience that were at the event. We're going to start putting some things in the chat about that as I go through. And hopefully I can share my screen and I can show y'all some websites and the chats, what we're going to put in the chat, those links. But we'll post the survey that we went over a couple of weeks ago. We're going to continue to collect your responses of that survey. Takes 2 minutes to take. So if you haven't taken that survey, please do so. We have our golf tournament, Advancing Black Businesses, your advocate and educational arm of the ABC. It's a 501c4. We're here to educate you on the best ways to engage in this political process, how to engage in public policy. We're going to talk about that. We're going to do it by basically educating you and showing you what's out there for you. We're going to talk about the data as we've always talked about. But our golf tournament, June 3rd at Top Golf, it's going to start at 12 noon. That link is going to be coming to you very soon. I've said that so many times, y'all, and I don't have the link right now, but that link is being developed as we speak. But I do have the link. Raquel, if you can put that in the chat, and I'm going to start sharing my screen, y'all. Let's see how this technology works out. Our DC fly-in, that is the Eventbrite. You can go ahead and start sending your information in if you want to go. We're going to have a great time during the Congressional Black Caucus conference. It is September the 12th through the 15th. September the 12th through the 15th. It is $7.99 to attend. Eventbrite talks about the details of the event. We're going to be going in about 15 to about 20 people going into DC during the Congressional Black Caucus Conference. As soon as we get off the plane, we're going to the United States Black Chamber Policy Breakfast, just like last year. Right after that, we're going to the Capitol to meet with our congressional delegation. So we are looking forward to that trip. Again, that's in the chat. Y'all. Early voting is going on right now. What time is it, y'all? It's 8:30. Some of the polls, I guess, are open right now. It's 8:35. Some of the polls are open right now. It's time to exercise your rights to vote. Vote for that candidate is going to do best for you, is going to represent you as a Black business owner and a Black consumer. Who is that politician? Who is that incumbent, if it is, or that challenger? Who is going to best represent you as a Black business owner and a Black consumer? Just to flip, and let's see if this works right. Our vice president was in the city. Going to put that in the chat also, that recording of the entire event with the vice president. The vice president going to the White House's page, just a fact sheet on she kicked off, she meaning the Vice President Harris, your vice president, kicked off a nationwide economic opportunity tour right here in Atlanta. This explains a lot in and around the actual tour, from setting new records over 178 billion, representing more than 28% of contract spending in federal procurement, on pace to nearly double the number of small dollar loans to small businesses in fiscal year 2024. So it's actually talking about, that White House link is talking about what the administration has accomplished, what the administration is looking to do. It talks about the ARP dollars, the Capital Readiness Program, which was featured there at the event. Our Representative Horsford, the Congressional Black Caucus chair, opened the meeting and had a good conversation centered around that Capital Readiness Program, which, as you may know, the Atlanta Black Chambers, along with the United States Black Chamber Economic Development Corporation, received that $2 million grant. We just had a program last night with our attendees. We'll be starting up a new cohort program very, very soon. So get ready to hear more information about that. We're here to mentor you and hold your hand within that program. So we're accepting between 20 and 40 participants in that program. Also, the Urban League of Atlanta is doing the program. Also, they received the grant because we need several organizations representing you, actually walking you through this process of scaling your business, growing your business. That is a Capital Readiness Program. And let me see here. Let me take off the glasses. I got to see, this is being recorded. Let me push that okay. Going to the next slide. The Congressional Black Caucus releases a plan to build Black wealth in America. Here it is right here. Look over that plan. There's links to actually go directly to that plan. There is a resolution right here. That resolution actually talks about many different things from a historical standpoint. That resolution talks about the various, the enduring legacy of the Jim Crow laws, how that affected us, the home ownership, and where that rate is compared to the white community. It talks about the majority Black neighborhoods. It goes into employment discrimination, systemic racism. Please read that resolution. Check out the Congressional Black Caucus's information as relates directly to you. Check out those solutions that they're talking about of how they're going to actually build Black wealth. They talk about closing that racial wealth gap. When it comes to closing that racial wealth gap, and that's added in the conversation, I lean in to see, okay, what are they talking about? They talk about closing the racial wealth gap. Y'all know we talked about that. The racial wealth gap is derived really from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. It actually talks about several sectors, including the assets, the worth of Black businesses, and that's somewhere centered around that $270 billion Black businesses are worth, compared to white businesses are worth somewhere around that $13 to $14 trillion. That's a major gap, y'all. That should be a 1-to-4 ratio. We should be sitting around that what is that? What is that 1-to-4 ratio? Around that $4 to $6 trillion in assets and worth in our community. So that's that gap right there when you talk about Black businesses, right there. So if you look at the Black Economic Alliance, and let's see what's going on in that background. I got some noise.
How many exams?
All right, we're gonna mute that person. All right, the Black Economic Alliance, which we'll put that link in the chat also. We filling that chat up with links, y'all. Please take out what you want to look at. No, you can't look at everything. That's why we're touching on that. but the Black Economic Alliance Foundation, which was working closely with the Congressional Black Caucus. They were mentioned from the stage with the Vice President Harris. They talked a lot about what they're doing in the background. This is the report that was referenced from the Black Economic Alliance Foundation. They talk about, again, about the history, the wrongdoings in the Black community, what happened, and they talk about solutions. So match those solutions up with that you see, match those solutions up with what you learned on here, what you already know about the data, about where you are as a Black community, about that you're centered around about $47,000 in average household income, where whites are well around that $70,000 range. There's another gap right there. They talk about those solutions that could actually bring that gap forward. Hopefully y'all can see me switching over. And Raquel, can you see me switching over? You see the 2023 Black print from the United States Black Chambers?
Yes, the screen is changing, yes.
All right, great. The United States Black Chamber, which is our national partner. You've heard us talk about on Tuesday Talks. The conference is coming up on July the 17th through the 19th. We will be convening in DC for the second time, or really the first time in DC for the ABC. We will be there and we'll be represented at that national conference. But this Black print is the Black print, the footprint of the United States Black Chamber policy agenda. Talks about some great information, has some great information about the 8A program and the problems with the 8A program. Had a good conversation. I know Paula Watts is out there. Had a good conversation with Paula Watts about the data centered around the 8A program that we're going to be bringing to you sometime soon. It's alarming about the number of contracts that are out there as a whole with the federal government, and the number of contracts that 8A programs are getting. And Paul and I are looking to pull that data away from the 8A Black firms and what those numbers look like and how those numbers are compared to the whole number when it comes to the contracting levels. And you heard me talk about that contracting levels for Black businesses has gone the other way from 1.67% a few years ago down to 1.50%. We're going to continue to talk about that. I may talk about that every time we come on here if we're talking about the federal government. So that's the Black print for the United States Black Chamber. The GI Bill was talked about at the event on this past Monday. The Vice President mentioned the GI Bill, is mentioned in some of the other panel discussions, or the other panel discussion. So that's that link is going in the chat. And how did the GI Bill's promise was denied to 1 million? Listen to me, y'all. That's 1 million Black World War II veterans. 1 million came home. Only 1,000, or I'll just say approximately 1,000 of those 1 million were able to get a home loan from the GI Bill. That's 1,000, y'all. That's what is that? Is that 1%? I think that's 1% of the Black veterans that came home were able to get a home loan, while millions of white veterans received home loans. There's the gap, y'all. That was part of that widening that racial wealth gap. That actually talks about that. Skip it on over to the Stitch Project was talked about. You may have heard of the Stitch Project. It was announced on the news a week or two ago. That Stitch Project is somewhere around 150. What is that? Million? Is it billion? Is it million? It's $150 million, y'all. They're going to actually stitch together the expressway due to the Interstate Highway Act of 1956. Came through the nation, came through Black communities. Look at the redlining maps. Follow the redlining maps. Look at the Interstate 20. Look at the connector of Interstate 20 and the intersection of I-75, and go north on I-75 from 20, and you pass over Sweet Auburn. This Metropole article actually talks about remembering Auburn, Sweet Auburn, before the expressway. It talks about, you know, how strong Sweet Auburn was. It actually talks about who nicknamed Sweet Auburn. John Wesley Dobbs. I know y'all heard about that great civic leader here in Atlanta. He actually coined that name, Sweet Auburn, gave that name to the Sweet Auburn, where that was one of the most thriving Black communities. That 1 mile stretch of Auburn Avenue was a thriving area back in the day, y'all. I'll just say it like that, back in the day, a thriving area. It actually talks about what decimated that Sweet Auburn Avenue. What happened, that interstate highway came through there, along with a few other things that happened during that time and decimated that, along with what you've probably heard a lot about, the one of the best Black communities back in 1921 was destroyed in Tulsa. The Sweet Auburn equivalent in Durham, North Carolina, was one of the strongest Black business districts, and that expressway came in and divided that out and decimated that community. I want you to know about that. I know you already know about it, but I want you to know the details of that, because they talked about that on Monday at the vice president's event. So a lot going on, y'all. I'm going down the road. Let's look at Ask John Wesley Dobbs right there. It actually talks a little bit about the late John Wesley Dobbs, going to a brief history of racism that shaped the interstate highways. That's a video that you can listen to. You can watch. If you don't want to read it, hey, just take that link and listen to that, because you need to know details about your history and how we participated in America, because you were showcased. This was showcased at the vice president's event. A great event again, had a great time, heard some great information just going on. Let's see. So the Stitch Project, which was announced, this is a link that we're putting into the chat about the Stitch Project. The Stitch Project is the mending a torn urban fabric. I mentioned about Sweet Auburn. This is going to be in that area. Not going to really talk about those details, but somewhere around $150 million is going to be spent to stitch a project in Atlanta. One of the only, from what I understand, but y'all correct me if I'm wrong, one of the only projects due to the Infrastructure Act that over $1 trillion is being poured in the infrastructure of America. And they're using those dollars to actually stitch that Sweet Auburn area back. They're spending 150. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna take my family down. I'm gonna walk through there, and I'm gonna take my dog and walk my dog through that area, because I'm gonna enjoy that. This is definitely something great for the city of Atlanta. Don't have any problems with that. But y'all, I'm gonna turn this around a little bit, and I'm gonna just compare this $150 million that they're spending for it. And I'm assuming, I guess they're calling it some redress of the problems that happened during that decimated Sweet Auburn, and that's great. I'm all for it. I love it. Let me see what this next. But I want you to compare that to Governor Hochul announces Holocaust claims. I'm going in another direction now, y'all. I'm going in some untouched territory and making some comparisons, because I really like this article right here because of what it's doing for the Holocaust victims. Governor Hochul announces Holocaust claims processing office secured over $183 million for victims and beneficiaries of the Holocaust. That's right here in your state of New York. I know we got plenty of New Yorkers that live here, but let me read this first paragraph. Governor Kathy Hochul today announced that the New York State Department of Financial Services Holocaust Claims Processing Office, which Holocaust victims and their heirs recover stolen assets, has helped secure and return over $183 million in compensation to victims and their heirs for bank, insurance, and other material losses. Additionally, through this initiative, the Department of Financial Services, government, has facilitated the settlements involving over 250 cultural objects since 1997. Over 25 years, y'all. This department has been going around the world collecting for the Holocaust victims, and I love it, y'all. They corrected the wrongs. They're redressing what happened to the Holocaust victims. I want y'all to know that. I don't know if you heard about that before, but you got government swooping in for the Jewish America, and I love it. But I'm going to go back to here. Let's go back to the brief history of how racism shaped highways, John Wesley Jobs, going over to remembering Sweet Auburn before the expressway, y'all. I'm going somewhere with this, but I'm gonna have a quick halt, because I wanted to make a comparison of how you redress a community when they've been oppressed. And that's what I want you to know as Black business owners and Black consumers is what to expect from you being an average revenue of $62,000 and you compare that to whites are over $560,000. That's a gap, y'all. That's that racial business gap right there. And how do you address those issues of oppression of your business, of your family, of your everything that's happened to Blacks in America, particularly Blacks that are American descendants of slavery? What has happened to you, there has to be some specific redress. And I just wanted to point that out, y'all. I know we're running out of time. The time is 8:51. I just wanted to make that comparison for y'all because y'all need to know. Y'all need to have somebody out there talking about redress for your community, for your Black business owners to have a better sound foundation for you to start a business, for you to have some wealth to invest in your business, for you to get access to capital. They talked about that at the VP's event, access to capital. They're working on it. They're working on it, but I want you to watch out for the policies. Watch out for what they're talking to you when they're talking directly to you as a Black business owner and a Black consumer. How are they going to redress? How are they going to correct those wrongs? I see how they're correcting those wrongs when it comes to the Holocaust victims. The Holocaust victims, and again, I love it. I love what they're doing. I love they're going around and snatching all of those things that were taken from the Holocaust victims. I just want to come back over to our community and talk about the over 1 million acres of land was taken from you, from your families. Here we are, y'all. Quick stop right there. Quick stop. Let's have a quick conversation. We got a few more minutes here, y'all. I just wanted to bring that up. No, that's dangerous territory, y'all. But we're going to compare the issues. We're going to compare the redress in our community. We're going to talk about it right here on Advancing Black Businesses Public Policy Talks, because we're all about public policy. We're all about educating you on public policy. We're all about talking about the data to you. We're all about comparing public policy in our community of redress, comparing public policy that's helping other communities also. Here we are, y'all. Let's have a conversation, y'all. We got a few more minutes. Sorry to talk so long, but I wanted to make that point today that your vice president was here. She was talking directly to you. She was talking about those solutions. Your chair of the Congressional Black Caucus was talking directly to you about redress. The Black Economic Alliance has done research. They have some policies that you need to look at, because that's what they're talking about doing on day one. That's what it says in the article the Congressional Black Caucus is talking about doing on day one. And I want you to know what that's going to do for you. I want you to know. I want to educate you as a Black business owner and Black consumer on public policy. What public policy from a historical standpoint has done to the Black community, specifically done to the Black community with the Interstate Highway Act, the GI Bill. You saw the history. You saw the article that I put up about the GI Bill and how it affected Black war veterans that came home from World War II. Here we are. So hey, y'all raise your hand if you want to say something. Notice got a little touchy at the end, but y'all need to hear this, y'all. You're not hearing this in the mainstream. You're not hearing this in most platforms, but we're gonna touch on it here at Public Policy Talks. All right. Montina, who talked to us last week, give me about 45 seconds. What's going on?
Hey, Markee, great information. Just wanted to point out again, as we're going to DC, I'm part of the Council for Quality Growth, and they give us like 3 talking points. So that would be helpful. Many of us are going up there, as part of other organizations. And I just think that we have so much that we're saying that our voices are getting lost. I think it's great, Kamala, our vice president came to visit, but I'm tired of visiting with people with no actionable items. So again, just a suggestion, and I'd be happy to share this. Hello, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Montina. Hey, good points. Good points. Action items, y'all. Action items. Any more hands raised? It is 8:55. 8:55. Again, just a quick recap, no hands raised. The CBC panel discussion with the with the Minority Business Development Agency, Department of Treasury, Department of Transportation, talked about those projects. So I mentioned the CRP program. We had our great senators, U.S. Senator Warnock, U.S. Senator Alsop, and Councilwoman Nikema Williams actually spoke in support of what I actually mentioned. That great conference again. The VP conversation. Listen to that. We put that in the chat, the YouTube channel, the YouTube video of the entire event with the panel discussions, with hearing from Vice President Harris. We got a hand raised right there. Give me about 45 seconds. Who was that hand raised right there? Go ahead.
You'll get 30 seconds. I have to agree with Montina. How do we move from information to execution to impact, right? What is the how? Because now we have some of the information. So how do we then kind of move along the continuum to land something? Because after this call, folks usually go back to business as usual. And I think what you shared is so impactful in terms of what's going on around us. Now, what is the what?
Good question. What is the what? You know, I mentioned a lot about, solutions and, closing the racial wealth gap. And, this is an election year, y'all. This is where you get what you want. This is where you ask for what you need, ask for what you want. This is an election year. We got the presidential election in November. The vice president was just here. This has to come from the grassroots, y'all. When I say this has to come from the grassroots, your ask, you developing that agenda. I talked about us developing an agenda. I talked about, I'd show the Black Economic Alliance, go to the NAACP's webpage, go to the National Urban League's webpage, look at what they're asking for. Does that measure up with the data? I don't know. You have to decide for yourself. That's what we need to do. We need to have a voice from a grassroots level. All politics are local. We have to take over the conversation at the local level. I just showed y'all what's going on in DC. I just showed y'all what they're talking about. Measure that up with the data, measure it up with what happened to us from a historical standpoint, and you got to come together with a voice. How many people is on here? What do we got? 66 people on this Zoom. 66 people are listening to this. How many Black people we have in America? We have about 40 million Black people in America. We have representation in DC. We have representation in our districts. We have you all heard me say we have over 12,000 Black politicians. Who is talking about this? Who is talking about the real deal? Who is talking about redress? Figure it out. Figure it out, y'all. It's a lot to unpack. We got to make corrections for the last 400 years, y'all. It's a lot. You can't do it by November, but you have to start today. I gave you the data over the last several weeks. You know a little bit about the racial wealth gap. You know where it comes from. You know what the policies, we talked about the policies, the real solutions. Are they talking about real solutions? Did they come in Monday talking about real solutions that could actually truly help our Black community? Hey, you got to decide for yourself. At some point in time, the Black community is going to have to get up. The Black community is going to have to address those issues head on. All right, y'all. This has been a great conversation. Hey, we got Jackson. What's going on? Lyndon, what's up? 8:59.
Hey, good morning. Hey, this is always a great experience jumping on the call. I really want to be real quick and just say that we, and definitely myself, appreciate fearless leaders like you and Melvin Coleman, our leader at Operation Hope, John Hope Bryant, and many other folks to help stay focused, keeping a lot of these issues on the forefront. We need to definitely pull in the youth. The kids are the ones that are out there doing a lot of things too. I was at the Black Effect Podcast Festival this past Saturday in, I think it was Pullman Yards off of East Atlanta. And it's just great to see young people and older people interacting to talk about financial literacy, to talk about the power of podcasts. So I just keep on shouting and clapping for people like you to keep these issues in our face and helping us keep focused. So thank you so much, Markee.
All right. Thanks a lot, Linda. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I've actually ran into Mr. John Hope Bryant at the event. Had a brief conversation with Mr. Bryant. He's doing a great job in the community. All right, y'all. The time is 9 a.m. Thank y'all for joining us. I'm going to bring the data to you. Going to bring the real issues to you. But I just want you to just, hey, look, save that chat. Read some of those articles. Look at, enrich what you already know about the Black community. Look at that data. Compare that data to solutions that are going on, what they're talking about in your community, because I want to have some type specific redress for my community. And that's what I'm going to talk about on this platform, because I do not see that being talked about in any other platform. When I say any other platform, I'm talking about those mainstream platforms that we actually are in. I'm talking about looking at websites of our national organizations and looking at their policies, looking for what they're pushing. It's not there, y'all. I'm actually stepping out on this limb, y'all. It's not there. It's not there. So, hey, we have to be the ones to change it at the grassroots level, because I just showed you what they're doing at the national level from a few organizations. Some of them are talking about some great ideas, but I'm telling you now, that's not enough. It's not enough. It's time for a change, y'all. Time for a change. Thank y'all for coming in. It is 9:02. Looking forward to seeing y'all next week at the same time. We're going to talk about the issues. We're going to talk about the data. We're going to talk about you as Black business owners and Black consumers. Thanks a lot from Advancing Black Businesses. Looking forward to seeing y'all sometime soon. Y'all have a great day.